All right, on to the NFL. We did the Bills yesterday, by the way, who are 9-1 to win the division. We continue with the AFC East and the Miami Dolphins. Their win total is six over minus 130. They were 5-9-2 against the spread last year, 7-8-1 to the over. They are 12-1 to win the division, 6-10 last year. They lost Tannehill before the start of the season in a move I didn't like. They went out because Gase was comfortable with him and helped his career when he was in Chicago. They went out and signed Cutler and gave him a one-year deal, which didn't work out. So 6-10, and they have made a lot of changes, a ton of changes. Sue's gone. Pouncey's gone. They trade Landry. Amendola comes in. They signed Gore. A lot of people think they're going to be awful. A lot of people in Miami think it's going to be a long year for the Dolphins, but they have made a lot of changes with this roster.
Yeah, I mean, the prevailing wisdom on Miami is that certainly the markets are not bullish on this team at all. Remember, they won 10 games and were a playoff team 2 years ago. Last year, they went 6-10. And this year, priced the line 6/6.5. We call it 6 over minus 130. If you want to bet them under 6.5, you can find it. If you want to bet them over 6, you can find it. That is one of the many reasons that we like to do NFL previews as early as we can in the process to allow you to get the best of the number, whichever side that you like. So, I mean, when you go back and look at what happened last year, everything went wrong last year. Look, they drafted Laramie Tunsil. Second play of the season, he had an offensive, he had a false start, and nothing got better than from there. Offensive line was a concern all year. The whole Jay Ajayi situation where he ended up getting cut. They were second worst in the NFL in penalty yards. And you look at the stats, 4.9 yards per play on offense. Number 22, 5.9 yards per pass attempt. Number 27, the offense certainly wasn't very good. On defense, 5.4 yards per pass allowed. Middle of the pack. Per play. 5.4 yards per play allowed on defense. That's middle of the pack. 6.8 yards per pass allowed. Slightly below average. But the biggest thing of all the stats last year, the turnover margin. Miami only had 15 takeaways. That was number 29 in the NFL. They didn't create enough turnovers. And, of course, Jay Cutler was their quarterback. So you know what it was going to be for giveaways. They had 29 of them. That was number 30 out of 32 NFL teams. The minus 14 differential. Only the Broncos and the Browns were worst. So right from the get-go, you expect Miami to be better when it comes to turnovers. I wouldn't think this team goes into the season as a likely candidate to match last year's minus 14 differential. They should be much better in that regard in 2018.
Well, a move I didn't like before New England's standpoint. Amendola leaves and he stays in the division. They also sign Wilson as they trade Landry to the Browns. So new targets for Tannehill. And so far, so good with him come bouncing back from the injury. They also picked up Sitton. They signed Gore. I don't know about that move. He doesn't have much left. I don't get this move at all, bringing in Osweiler. And I know a lot of ESPN, I mentioned Miami, ESPN people, the panelists and experts there are not high on them. They have them the third worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, it's not just ESPN. You look at NFL.com, Dolphins, third worst team. Only the Browns and Colts are projected to be worse than Miami from ESPN and NFL.com. That's pretty two influential sites when it comes to creating opinion. CBS Sports, a similar story. Well, they only ranked the Dolphins 23rd. So there Miami's looked at a little better. But, you talked about some of the additions that they made. I thought they had a pretty good draft. And again, looking at the draft and trying to predict who's going to be a difference maker, easy to do on paper. Once the season starts, it all is different. But Minkah Fitzpatrick is certainly a guy who stands out to me as someone who can be an absolute difference maker from the get-go. So is Mike Gesicki from Penn State as a tight end, I think, who will really help Ryan Tannehill. But when you look at this defense, they've put up a ton of resources on the defense. A couple of first-round picks, a couple of third-round picks. They got a couple of veterans in looking to create a nasty pass rush and a strong secondary. I mean, Charles Harris, last year's first-rounder, he's has potential. The rookie linebacker, Jerome Baker, is someone who I think is solid. Cordrea Tankersley as someone who can help in the secondary. So there's a lot of pieces for this team defensively if Tannehill can play well. Matt Burke, quote, the defensive coordinator, I have high expectations. Obviously, we've been fortunate the last couple drafts and off seasons to add some pieces GM Chris Greer and those guys have done a good job. I'm on like the broken record in terms of me always wanting more, and give me this, and I don't have this. And all of that. They've done a good job providing some of those weapons and pieces. I really think this team defensively is going to be solid. And if Tannehill, you mentioned the reports from Tannehill out of OTAs, he looked good. If Tannehill can play at the level that we saw him show at times during that 10-6 season, I think there's upside for Miami in a way that there certainly isn't type upside for the Buffalo Bills team that we talked about yesterday.
Yeah. God, what a bad division again. We'll do the Patriots tomorrow. And who knows what the Jets will do with Darnold. Two teams take quarterbacks, so break in rookies, probably at the midway point of the season. Schedule AFC South, NFC North, 2 extra games, Oakland and Cincinnati. It's a sharp contrast, though. Remember the Bills? We did the Bills yesterday. Their schedule was front-loaded. Nothing but playoff teams and tough road games to start at the beginning of the year. Not the case with Miami.
Sure. I mean, you look at the start of the season. Look at their first 5 home games. Tennessee, Oakland, Chicago, Detroit, and the Jets. That's reasonable. That's all before the bye. Yeah, I mean, they have a road trip to the Jets. They got to go to New England and Cincy. Cincy's not that tough. Houston, Green Bay, not going to be easy. And then they come back out of the break. They got Indy and Buffalo as their first 2 games. So there's certainly, from a schedule standpoint, when you compare Miami and the way you project their season to go, because look, this is Tannehill's 7th season with the Dolphins. If things don't go right, they cut bait. Gase, there's talk Gase is on the hot seat. I don't think he really is. But if things go south, by December, maybe he is. So the one thing that you don't want if you're betting a team over is a quarterback and a coach that might be gone by December. For Miami, given the schedule's relative ease early on, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case for the Fish. First lean for Miami is to bet them over the total. And again, you can find 6s with juice. That's what to look for if you like the over.
All right. Excellent. Very good. Patriots tomorrow, and they made a lot of moves in the offseason, as in guys left. Brady lost some weapons. We'll touch on them coming up, and they continue to go over every single year.
Like the show? Help us keep the lights on. Please make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to all the Sportsbook Review videos. Thanks so much. Best of luck. Enjoy the game.